Hello, and thank you very much for joining me again today. And I'm back on the 22nd of December 2019 with Mr. Albert Matapo. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. Thank you very much. How about you, Mr. Gambakwe?
Very well. And today we're going to be talking about Mr. Albert Matapo. Who is Mr. Albert Matapo?
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Gambakwe. Yes, I'm going to talk about myself. I was born in Chivu, which was formerly called Engeldon, at a farm, farm number 290, Wilshire. And I grew up in Zinatsa area. I studied at Zinatsa Primary School, and then I went to Centringham High School for my secondary. But before then, I was partly involved with the liberation struggle. We were the small boys who were being sent by the comrades and so on and so forth. Towards the end of the liberation struggle, we were trained to also be part and parcel of the fighters. And then we got into independence in 1980. In 1980, I went to Bulawayo, at which is now called it's called Ndawazimuna Barracks today, but it was called 160 Infantry Battalion by then. But because I was young, I chose to go to school. I went back to school, left the army and went to school. I studied Form 1 up to Form 4, and then Form 5 up to Form 6. I went back to the army and be involved in the army again. I trained at Zimbabwe Military Academy to be an officer in the military of Zimbabwe. And it was the highest training that I received. From there, after graduating at the Zimbabwe Military Academy, I was a lieutenant. From there, I was promoted to a captain. And then I went to school. I joined the Gwebi College of Agriculture, to study for a diploma. Whilst I was studying for a diploma, then I had been allowed to go there, but I was then later on stopped. They said, no, you must come back. Then I had to choose between going back to the army and remaining there. I chose to remain at college. I completed a diploma, but I had resigned from the army because of that. And then I joined the public service. I worked under Department of Social Welfare, where I was a training officer. And during that time, when I was working at Department of Social Welfare, I studied for a bachelor's degree at the University of Zimbabwe, where I did a Bachelor of Science degree in Agricultural Economics. So I'm an economist. From there, I joined. I was already working under the Department of Social Welfare as a training officer, and at the same time studying for that degree. And that was the time when people like Len Mojongwe, Tafadza Msekiwa, Job Sikala, and so on, they were at the University of Zimbabwe. I was there at that time. So then in 1996, there were the first executive mayoral elections in Zimbabwe. I was supporting Fidelis Mashu, who was an independent candidate. That's when I started to do independent politics. I had already seen that and agreed that ZANU-PF was destroying our country. So I was already opposed to ZANU-PF from 1996. And then when MDC was formed in 1999, I was part of the movement for democratic change. I was a supporter. And most of the time I would finance, because I left government in 2000, in February 2000, and I started my own business. So when I was running my own businesses, I could support MDC and give them money, give them my vehicles, give them fuel. Those who come from Rua, MDC Rua or Chitungwiza, they know me. Ask anyone who is or who has been part of the movement for democratic change, Chitungwiza province. I was part and parcel of that. And I've been supporting MDC for a very long time, financing them, giving them money, giving them fuel, giving them my vehicles to carry the people to rallies and so on. You can ask anyone, they will tell you this. I was working with people, the MDC youth. This is when we then started this project, Zimbabwe People Power Movement. But by then we did not call it that. But I was working with people like Ishmael Kauzani, the one I'm usually with. He is normally seated at the back, only today he's not there. People like Beta Chokururama, people like Tondera Indira. There are a lot more others who are still alive, and they are there within MDC today that I was working with. I would not want to say them here because maybe they might be victimized by ZANU. But there are so many, and people know me. I used to come to Harvest House, and people used to say, Mudarawe Benz. It was me who was driving a Mercedes-Benz, park down there, go upstairs, 60th floor, meet my youth, and discuss, because we knew that elections were not working. So we had this idea ever since 2006. In 2007, so many people were involved, senior MDC guys, including Morgan Changra himself. He had accepted this idea. But while we were going to go to the finals of this program, Morgan Changra was not there, and we were waiting for him to come on a Friday. We were arrested on 29 May 2007. We were actually abducted. Let me call it abduction. They came to my company because the offices for this movement was at my company in Nelson Mandela. And so they came and arrested everybody at my company. They abducted everybody. And then they took over my company. My company by then was worth more than 300,000 US dollars. We occupied 8 offices. We had a lot of projects out there, construction projects, housing projects, and so on. All those, they had to take over everything. They destroyed all that. We went into so many legal disputes with people whose projects had not yet been completed after we had been abducted. And they took us to an unknown place, and we were tortured at that place until then we were taken to court afterwards. At court, we were remanded in custody, and then we were taken to Chikurub Maximum Prison, where I went through hell. We were 7 of us. There were so many people who were arrested, who were abducted, and so on. Some people were even killed. We are still to account even today. Some people were injured. We have got a list of people who were injured. They are still there, some of them today. Some died. And then but we were lucky that we were taken to prison. We were not killed, because they thought that we were going to give them information. And after we had refused to give them information, they started lying that we wanted to remove Robert Mugabe and put Emerson Mnangagwa, the one that we were fighting today. That all those were lies, because they wanted to distance us so that people would not support us. That was their idea. And so it worked for sure, because people, the majority of the people did not support us. We never got any support from people. Okay, there might have been people supporting us inside them, but we never got any action that showed that people were supporting us. Anyway, we remained strong, and we pulled through. We were never convicted, but I stayed in prison for 7 years, from 29 May 2007 to 1 March 2014, in prison at Chikurub Maximum Prison. I went through hell. I can't explain, and I can't finish. But then, lucky enough, we got so much of international support. We got international protection whilst I was in prison. Officers, Europeans and Americans would come and visit me every week. They would come 2, 3 times to see me in prison. It was the first time that happened. And a lot of even prison officers, they were surprised to see that kind of support that I got. So that is why they did not kill me, until they then just had to release me on 1 March 2014. And everybody called me president. Everybody. Until they released me. And then I got international protection. I went outside. This is why I'm outside. But now this project continues, because it never died. Yes, we called it United Crusade for Achieving Democracy and whatever. That was just to put a political formation on the side. But it was meant to be this project. And this project is for all the people of Zimbabwe, and it will never die. So this was just meant to be a short history, just a short one. But otherwise, if you want details, I can give you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Albert Matapo. And if you receive this message on WhatsApp, please forward it to as many people as possible. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.